I don't think we have seen anything quite like that. That was an absolutely unbelievable Nikola Jokic performance. We're going to talk about it next here on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Thank you so much, folks, for tuning into today's episode. Being an everydayer here on one of the American holidays that, like, if you were to take tonight off, I totally understand. If you were to be anywhere else but here, I would totally understand. But because you are a serious fan, an everydayer, somebody who wants to be here and supports Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and the Denver Nuggets, you got yourself an incredible show. My name is Ryan Blackburn, host here at Locked On Nuggets. Thank you for tuning in. I am solo tonight, trying to give the other guys a night off, given that they have been working so hard in my stead. I'm still a little bit under the weather, but I stayed home from the arena today, so wanted to give Matt Moore, my colleague there in the building, give him a little bit of time because especially like he's going to be going through media on this one because holy cow, this game went long. Holy cow, like already starting very, very late. But I mean, what a show. What an absolutely unbelievable nightcap. ESPN treated to an absolute gem from Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. They win in a 142-138 barn burner in overtime. Usually in these situations, when you look quarter by quarter on the ESPN box score, you'll see, all right, it's usually about 30-30, 36-32, 25-24, and 27-27. And then in OT, it's like 10-12 or 6-4 if you're a really low scoring team, a couple teams, or if it's a high scoring one, it's 18-14. No, it was 27-23 in overtime. The Nuggets just scored the most points in overtime in NBA history. What an insane performance, and on Christmas of all days. And we got to start off before that, actually. This podcast is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Let's get into what Nikola Jokic just did, because holy cow, that's the story, right? That's the guy. If you're going to look at anything, if you're going to be wowed by anything, like talk about 56, 16, and 15. There was a lot of talk on that ESPN broadcast earlier today. I thought the broadcasting team that they had between Mark Kestisher and Stephanie White, I thought they did a really good job of crediting and making sure to validate what Nikola Jokic had done a couple of years ago on Christmas, a 41-15-15 game. And they're like, oh, he took 2 overtimes to do it. He might actually get that in without an OT in this game. No, he blew right past that. Did need an overtime to get to 50, but 56 points, and so many of those in the overtime period. There was a lot of fouls. There were a lot of free throws. There were a lot of, like, the Nuggets ultimately got up with about 90 seconds left to go, and then really started to put the pressure onto Minnesota, and they were forced to foul over and over and over again. And as a result, you see these numbers start to creep up higher and higher and higher. But this is a season high for Nikola Jokic in points, and it couldn't have come at the better time. Couldn't have come at the best possible time that they needed it to, where Cam Johnson goes out the game before, Aaron Gordon's already out, Christian Brown's already out, Jamal Murray's taken, like, he took 32 shots tonight. We'll get to him in just a little bit. He tried to take some of the pressure off of Jokic as much as possible. But like, holy cow, it just feels like Jokic saved all that he possibly could for this game. From the tip, he was great on both ends of the floor. This was not just an offensive game. This was a defensive game from him too. I know that doesn't look like it with the way that the score sheet kind of went down, but ultimately, like, what he's able to put out in a lot of these cases, he saves a little bit of his energy when he can. He couldn't save anything tonight. He had to give it all. And like there were so many different things that Minnesota tried to do against him. They spent a lot of time with Gobert on him early. Then they had Julius Randle on him when he got Gobert into foul trouble. Then they went to his zone and they really tried to help Rudy use Rudy from behind. And then they like that pause. And then they had Jaden McDaniel shadowing him as much as possible, with Ant Edwards shadowing Murray and trying to switch that matchup as much as possible, just hound Murray, try to force as many turnovers as they possibly can, and then use Gobert as the roamer behind them and try to catch as much as they could from a rebounding perspective. It didn't matter. Like actually, that let me rephrase that. That was the best adjustment that they made, because anytime that Jokic was facing Gobert or Naz Reid or Julius Randle, it was barbecue chicken. He was cooking the entire night and bringing people along with him too. Like it wasn't just a scoring fest. It was setting the table for Spencer Jones. It was making sure that Peyton Watson stayed involved in the game. It was finding Tim Hardaway Jr. It was Bruce Brown getting a dump off under the lane and in transition and things like that. And then, of course, the patented two-man game where Jokic continually set up Murray as much as he possibly could. And so those guys, you get those numbers up as much as possible, but like the burden was on them with as the starters that the Nuggets had out, Cam Johnson, Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon. So much of the ball handling and the attention and the concentration is paid to Jokic and Murray. And Murray handled it in a different way, and we'll talk about that in the second segment. Jokic handled it in the best possible way he could. And that was just make the right decision every single time. And he even did it to a fault in the overtime, I thought. There were a couple times, especially early, where like Minnesota comes back, some turnovers from Jokic, of course, in that fourth quarter. And that allowed them to get back into the game. And then Edwards has this crazy shot from three, in order to even force the overtime in the first place. But then Denver goes down by 9 in the overtime period, by 9 points, like in 2 minutes. And Denver, by the way, still scored 27 points in the overtime period. Just a ridiculous way that overtime went. And a lot of it was because, like, even during that time when Denver was going down, Jokic staying true to the process. He was trying to set up other people, kind of willingly passing as much as possible. And then he just had to take over. There was a three that he hit on the right wing, Murray dribbling the ball up the floor. Jokic kind of fades to the right wing, coming off of a screen. Jaden McDaniels is chasing him. He loses him. Like somehow Jaden McDaniels loses Jokic, and they ultimately, like, he hits a three. Denver gets a stop. Tim Hardaway hits a three in transition. It immediately lead gets cut down to 3. Minnesota's making bad decision. They're feeling the pressure, and Denver ultimately cuts it down and they tie it. And it felt like Jokic was inevitable the entire game. Like this entire time, Murray hit a huge shot with about 35 seconds left as well. And that was just a massive three in its own right. That one put Denver up and I think put them up for good, but just so many amazing plays in this one. And if you're a Nuggets fan, you have to really fully appreciate that this is not normal. What you're seeing here, Minnesota geared their entire game plan towards throwing the kitchen sink at Jokic and Murray. And they were able to do so because Spencer Jones is in the corner, Peyton Watson's in the corner, Tim Hardaway's out there. Like, yes, there are some dangerous players out. Like, you can't just leave them completely wide open or else they'll burn you eventually. But holy cow, like, they threw the entire kitchen sink at those two guys. And somehow, some way, Jokic, Murray, they continue to find ways to do this. And that's all you can ever ask for as a Nuggets fan. This is going to be a tough stretch. This is going to be a really, really tough stretch for the year. But if Denver can get through it, if those guys keep playing at this kind of level, then holy cow, Things can't get much better than this. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we are going to chat about more Jokic, more Murray. Honestly, in these first two segments, we'll talk about how Denver probably should have fouled when they were up 3 in the fourth quarter. That would have been a great idea, but ultimately still escaped with a win. We'll talk about it next here on Locked On Nuggets. All right, folks, let's talk about. Sorry, was not as set up as I needed to be. Let's talk about PrizePicks. This holiday season is one of the best for sports. Bowl games, big basketball matchups, playoff pushes, it's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the easiest way to get in on daily fantasy. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections. Lock in your lineup and you're in the game. It's simple, fast, and available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. PrizePicks has added an extra layer of excitement to the holiday sports schedule. I mean, if you bet more or less on Jokic, you probably should have taken the more on this one. You can create a lineup. It takes less than a minute, and the app makes the whole process smooth and intuitive. They also have an early payout feature, which is a great bonus. When your lineup starts out strong, you may get the option to stack cash early. Download the PrizePick app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. All right, back at it. Locked On Nuggets. Thank you so much for tuning into the show, folks. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. In the comments, make sure, comment down below what your favorite Jokic play is, and I'll put them on the screen if I can. And if you're listening later when you're not in the live chat right now, really appreciate you. Make sure to scroll down to that comment section or scroll down to that description and check out the Everydayer Club. We've got content that we've got going. I've been sick, so I've been a little bit lax on it lately, but I have been trying to put out more stuff on the Everydayer Club as much as I can. Make sure to go check that out and sign up if you're interested. Wow, Hurricane with the hard-hitting analysis here. My favorite Jokic play is when he wins. Nice stuff. Nice stuff. Marco says all 56 points, 16 rebounds, and 15 assists. Hunter says the pass to AG for the game against the Clippers. I was meaning this game, my guy. I was meaning this game, not overall. But I do agree with you that the AG for the game against the Clippers, that was back in 2022. I love that one. I think that one's great. Calaman says, I woke up at 5 a.m. to watch. Hello. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for staying up. Really appreciate it. Oh, man. Baiting Ant on the inbound technical. That's one. Hey, if you're an opposing fan and you're like, oh, so annoying that Jokic got so many free throws. Well, one of them came because Ant poked the ball away while Jokic was trying to take it out of bounds. And obviously that's not something that you can do. And it was a delay of game that they had previously. So second delay of game. And that's where you get another free throw. And Jokic took it as opposed to Murray, which, I mean, frankly, tonight I would have had Jokic take every single shot if he was very much in his bag. So really nice to see. Really nice to see the way it was. The OT assist to Jamal for 3 was the best from 80 kilogram Costco chicken. Really appreciate it. That's a great tag right there. Gosh, it was that's one of those plays that if you're a Nuggets fan, like I thought that they were dead. I thought that they were dead in the water when they went down 9 in that OT period. I really did not think that they were going to be able to come back because like while Jokic can make the shots, like Denver wasn't getting any stops at all. They were able to not only hit multiple threes in a row, but get multiple stops in a row. And like it's crazy what the 3-pointer overall can do as an adjuster for you. Jokic and Murray were tremendous in this one. Murray handled things a little bit differently than Jokic did. Murray was taking a lot of shots throughout this game, trying to take on and kind of assume a lot of responsibility in some of these lineups because Jokic can't take every shot. And I know that I said that it would be cool if he did, but he can't take every shot. That would be ridiculous. And like he's getting double teamed a lot of the time. So he passes it and rotates it out to somebody, and then they rotate it to Murray, and then Murray creates a shot from with 5 seconds left on the shot clock. He's asked to generate something as much as he could. I do think that Murray looks tired when he's driving. When he's shooting threes, like I feel pretty good about them pretty much every single time. He went 9 of 18 from three today. I do not think he's taken more threes in his life from a 3-point shooting perspective. Maybe at Kentucky. Maybe there was a game at Kentucky where he took more threes, maybe at a high school game or something like that. But holy cow, like 9 of 18 is a lot. But he shot pretty low. Let's do the math. 3 of 14 from 2-point range. And, a couple turnovers here or there. I do think that some of that's the price of doing business when you are driving into the teeth of the defense and you're facing Rudy Gobert. And like, if Gobert is not guarding Jokic and Jaden McDaniels is guarding Jokic, that means that Ant is guarding Murray and Rudy is rotating over and things like that. So it's not an easy stretch for anything, but like, fortunately, Murray's three has been on this year. It has really saved him in a lot of these cases. They have needed him to be the most like the most volume that he possibly could from both of those ends, like from the 2-point side and the 3-point side. They've absolutely needed that. And so, yeah, I do think that, actually, here's a comment from Robinhood. Jamal tweaked his ankle pretty early, but I didn't see anything after the initial reaction. I never saw that, but if that is the case, it does kind of look like he was laboring. Like it kind of looked like he was, not going to make excuses for him. He's shown that he is healthy and in really good shape right now, and he's more than capable. But clearly, like, moving really well, getting threes and rotating, and his balance is so good in those cases right now. And him taking a lot of threes is going to be really good for the Nuggets, and he's going to do it a lot. So I'm hopeful that he continues to focus in on that he doesn't try too hard to force the drives, because if they're not there and if he's not feeling comfortable with it, then like don't force it. There's no reason for it. But we'll see what happens. Hey, my brother's in the chat. He says, apparently Jokic's 18 overtime points are the most by a player in a single game. 18 points in overtime is the most. That's wild. Like, hey, keep setting records. Might as well. If you're gonna set one record, you might as well just set all of them, buddy. So what a ridiculous thing. Murray, like, just kind of wrapping up that part of the conversation. With the way that Denver's lineup is right now, that Tim Hardaway can take more shots. Like, he was at 7 of 16. Could he have taken 20 shots? Sure. Like, I don't think anything was holding him back from doing that. But it felt like Denver was very much just going to ride the two-man game as much as they could. I do not think it's something that they can do going forward. I think that they are going to burn those guys out if they burn the candle at both ends, so to speak. So I think that, like, somebody like Julian Strawther, who played 12 minutes today and was 0 of 3 and wasn't necessarily looking that comfortable scoring or playing offense, gonna need a little bit more out of him. Jonas Valanciunas only played 10 minutes. They might need to find some more times where Jokic and Valanciunas play together, trying to take some pressure off of them, at least off of Jokic, at least a little bit. And there's other things that they can do, but like Peyton Watson probably needs to take more than 5 shots as well. He was very responsible on the defensive end. So not necessarily hating on that decision at all, but I do think that those are some areas where they might need to see some gains. Although, if we're being honest, like I do think that there's at least a strong possibility that one of Aaron Gordon or Christian Brown is coming back relatively soon. I don't think that they'll be back immediately, like within this week, but maybe next week. So we'll just have to see what happens. But it does feel like there is at least a little bit of like there's a little bit of an opportunity here for other guys to step up. Maybe Jalen Pickett is another guy with the ball in his hands that could potentially do some stuff. But we'll find out. We'll find out together. It'll be good. All right. Tell you what, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up talking about this game, and then we'll talk about Cam Johnson's injury as well and the good news that Denver got that we haven't talked about yet here on Locked On Nuggets. All right. Let's talk about game time. Folks, during basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building. Clearly, tonight would have been a great night to be in the building. I'll have to check in with Matt Moore on that. Obviously, as you can tell, staying away. The energy, the crowd, that first big run that gets everyone to their feet, and the closing moments, those are the best. You want to be around. You want to be in the building for it, and that's where Game Time comes in. They can help you do it. The GameTime app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets, fast, simple, and without the guesswork. If you're browsing the GameTime app, it's very straightforward and intuitive. You can find tickets by just taking a couple taps. Seeing the views from your seat before buying makes choosing tickets easy and confident. Prices include fees up front. The total is clear from the start. And there are different features that they have in the app, like zone deals that help unlock great seats at an even better value. Always love using the Game Time app, whether it's for basketball games or for live events. Ball Arena always has, like, I'm very familiar with Ball Arena, but if you're going to an arena that you are not familiar with, you're going to want to use the in-seat view feature because it's going to make sure that you're going to see it. You're going to understand exactly what you're buying, and then you're going to fully appreciate the value that Game Time offers. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today and get in on the action. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. All right, final segment, Locked On Nuggets. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I'm laboring here a little bit, but we'll be all right. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for tuning in. All right. What Jokic continues to do for this team, like I try to do this pretty frequently. I did this on Pickaxe a couple days ago. Maybe a couple weeks ago. You try to avoid taking Jokic for granted. You try to avoid never missing out on an opportunity like this to celebrate what greatness is supposed to look like. And that's what it looks like. It's a guy who is unwilling to allow your team to lose, to drop the ball. There were plenty of opportunities where Denver could have dropped it. They could have dropped it in regulation. They could have dropped it at the beginning of OT. They could have absolutely missed out on that. Jokic didn't allow it to happen. He was dominant. They could have allowed it to drop in the first quarter for what it's worth, but that's when Jokic really set the tone. And that's where he basically said to everybody on his team, look, we got this. We got this. Give me the ball. We're going to be okay. I'll be all right. And he created great shots for himself and for his teammates. And that's exactly what he does and what a great player is supposed to do. So that's just who he is. And it is interesting that now so many of these games have happened against the Wolves. Does this almost feel like makeup for last year? The game where Russell Westbrook missed at the kind of 7-second mark, 8-second mark, and then fouled a 3-point shooter in double overtime. Jokic had a 60-point triple-double in that game, and they lost. And this one kind of feels like a little bit of vindication where it's against the same team, it's in the same building, it's on a big moment, and Denver finds a way to come out on top, and Jokic just does not allow it to go the other direction. Super, super cool and completely deserved. Like, he continues to put into work and do things the right way and play the right kind of basketball. It's been great. So really good stuff for the Nuggets and really good stuff in the injury report feature. We did not know what sorry guys, I'm really fading here. We did not know what Cam Johnson's injury status was going to be. And the fact that it was not a torn ACL was great news, just straight up great news. It was very scary when Cam Johnson went down and held his right knee back on Wednesday, or was it Tuesday? No, it was Tuesday. And I'm very glad that it was just a bone bruise. We got that notice yesterday, and it was a 4 to 6 week injury, or at least that's when he will be reevaluated. So you do the math on that, and like obviously that's a pretty large window. So he'll probably be reevaluated in about, we'll call it 5 weeks, and that puts him right at the beginning of February, late January, early February, kind of in that general range. And so you've got this staggered return table for Christian Braun and Aaron Gordon, who I think should be coming back within the next week or so. And Denver's going to have to survive without Cam Johnson, who's been one of the main reasons why Denver has been so good in the second unit. Like, so many of their offensive plays are run because they have Cam Johnson as a secondary ball handler, or run because, hey, they'll call a play for him and then he can set the table for Jonas Valanciunas. And something that I like to say about Cam Johnson's skill set is that whatever the lineup really needs, like, he can do the offensive skill that it kind of takes to get the ball to where it needs to go, or shoot the ball in the situation. So they're going to need to solve some of these non-Jokic minutes. And the way that it went today, within the minus 9 in Zeke Najee's 5 minutes in the second quarter, that was pretty indicative of some problems. Of course, they were net neutral in the non-Jokic minutes in the fourth quarter. So there are some things that they improved, but it's going to be a process, especially in this next week or so, where Denver's going to be without all three of their starters. At that point, it's just scotch tape and prayer. Like, that's the only thing that's really going to be able to get them through it on a consistent basis, especially because they're about to go on a 7-game road trip. But they did experience a very serious escape, and I hope Nuggets fans experienced some serious relief from Cam Johnson's injury being okay and it not being a very serious thing. Like, this is it's a moderate injury for sure. It's painful. There's no doubt about it, but it could have been way worse. And Denver's still going to have him, in theory, knock knock, for the playoffs. This is not going to be a long-term thing where they have to work him back in and it's going to be really super painful. Like, he's, I think, going to get back into the flow of things and he should be okay. But the Nuggets are going to have to learn a lot. They're probably going to have to add somebody at some point. I do think that, like, Jokic and Murray specifically are probably going to be pretty tired after this stretch. So I'm very curious to see how the Nuggets decide to handle it, what they decide to do. Can Aaron Gordon go back to being a true third option and maybe even a second option at times if Jokic has to take a break, or if Murray has to take a night off or something like that? Like, those guys haven't taken a night off in forever. Jokic hasn't missed a game yet. So it's going to be interesting to see where Denver goes from here. But fortunately, they're doing so with a 22-8 record. They have taken the right steps San Antonio is dominating and they're currently in second place in the West, and good for them for being able to do so. But OKC's fallen a little bit. It's possible now to actually catch the 1 seed. Like, you don't know. And maybe this is a little bit of cart before the horse, and Denver shouldn't really be thinking about leaping anybody and playing so hard that they have to do that. But as long as they can survive, as long as they can keep themselves in a good position, I think they're going to be just fine. So really good stuff from this Nuggets group. Really good stuff. There was a challenge that David Adelman won that ended up being extremely critical, a sixth foul on Rudy Gobert. Spencer Jones had a really important offensive putback. Peyton Watson had a really important defensive steal. Tim Hardaway had some huge threes. Gonna be very interesting to see if the Nuggets can keep this up with the current cast that they have. These guys I think they're going to get pretty tired. And good news is that the travel gets really easy with the 7-game road trip that they have coming up. So going to be tough. But hey, them's the breaks. All right, folks, that is going to do it for this episode of Pickaxe and Roll. Oh, holy crap. That's going to do it for this episode of Locked on Nuggets. Really appreciate it, folks. Thank you for stopping by. Make sure to check out the Everydayer Club. Make sure to check out I'll do Pickaxe and Roll in the morning, I guess. So if you want to get some more thoughts on this game, but really appreciate everybody for stopping by, being an everydayer, and being a part of this community. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you can on the way out. I'll talk to you guys very soon.